About the current state of things. Nobody knew what's about to happen. Nobody knew what's behind the scenes. And certainly, nobody is truly prepared. But at least, we can survive and live to fight for one more day. And this is how things are nowadays, huh? See how your favorite things now has become nothing but mere treasures of time. Nothing but thoughts and echoes. Yet, we still look at them. You can either carry nostalgia, a good made product, or anything else. It's nothing but a shadow of itself. Do you even wonder to yourself if things must stop before things got dark? Or maybe it's the greediness that comes therefore. Either way, it doesn't matter anymore. Either we only had leftovers, or we'll see the rebirth in the horizon when we least expect it. Credits. It is I, Inferno. You surely have faced something like I described, or maybe currently you still belong to those fandoms. Maybe since the beginning or just recently. Or maybe you just got interested in something you recently discovered and now you are in some sort of rabbit hole. Yeah. Oh, but you have no idea how many times that stuff happened to me. Even recently, like 5 years ago, I just got in the Halo universe and now I just see nothing but a toxic fandom that surprisingly and somehow managed to get the same level of toxicity like its prime days. Like, it's like seeing kids fighting with each other instead of contributing something of value or, ironically, evolve. And let alone the fact that the current owners of the franchise don't help either in making their former most valuable IP, well, valuable. Would you ever wonder how we ended here? Yes, we, like the Nintendo Wii, we, you, him, everyone. Because oh boy, and as far as I know, there's always a reason behind liking stuff that originates from the dinosaur era, but at the same time, it's not far. So let's start with something easy, like...
The super fighting robot! Man fighting to save the world!
The way to admit Mega Man was not a happy one, for Nintendo of course. The thing is, I had access to Mega Man 7, Mega Man Base, and the Mega Man X trilogy. Yeah, just Super Nintendo games if you didn't notice. I ended up playing the X series instead, because I like the speed, controls, and aesthetics more than the simple, slow, colorful, and cute of the classic saga in the Super Nintendo. And well, this is how I met Mega Man X. Then later on, like 7 years later, I played the PlayStation trilogy. So far, so good. Didn't even touch the classic saga or PS2 games. Weirdly enough, I played Mega Man CX Advent, and you had no idea how lost I was when I discovered characters with Power Rangers, Sailor Moon-like transformations, and about being a Mega Man and the game of Destiny. Oh, and that was before playing the PlayStation games, thank you very much. But somehow, it felt organic. Even I had no idea about the existence of the Zero Saga and its prequel, Mega Man CX, yet I didn't feel lost about the context in the game itself. In retrospect, it's surprisingly how well it feels to complete a game and find out there's more that make all the way through to the one you're playing. And yet it is obligatory to know about the lore. Maybe that's why it's called CX Advent and not CX2. That will change a lot in the past and probably just end up playing another game instead. And I wasn't kidding when I say I was starting with an easy one. Mainly because Mega Man is not exactly a story-focused game, and it's more in the action side of things. The newer the game, the more complex its lore becomes, and of course, its gameplay. However, even if I didn't play all the Mega Man games, and pretty much ignore the so-called alternative timeline Mega Mans, or what I call them, the RPG Mega Mans, and the spin-offs, it felt like I was playing something that people barely know. The CX Saga basically just got cancelled, and the original fighting robots, Mega Man and X, just got forgotten over time. How, may you ask? Nah, simple. Yearly releases, which, curiously enough, has basically happened with most of the sagas. Not sure about the RPG ones, but I pretty much confident that was the case too. I mean, the NES era was just the beginning of the video game industry as we know now, but I don't remember or know a franchise besides, I don't know, RPGs like Final Fantasy that had yearly releases and managed to exhaust the interest so drastically. Even to the point of making another Mega Man called Mega Man X, with Zero being the protagonist at first, but considering how different and unfamiliar it felt, even with the greater gameplay, and the fact that they made the mistake of numbering classic saga games with Roman numerals out of sets, making even more confusing the transition to the new Final Saga series, and making even worse with the Game Boy games. Yeah, no wonder why the classic saga basically was put to rest in the Super Nintendo and making some spin-offs here, some crossovers, and yada yada yada. It was, for the most time, the forgotten Mega Man, the scrapped mascot. Hell, even I think Capcom just disrespect him on purpose by putting the US Mega Man 2 cartridge going instead of, well, the actual true number. Then just got Mega Man 9 and 10, but nerfed him because, I don't know, hard difficulty nostalgia. That's just stupid, not gonna lie. Years later, after not seeing the light of day, gamers got an increased interest in Mega Man-like games on the indie side of things. Then the Legacy Collection got released, and the classic saga had its revival with the release of Mega Man 11 and the now announced Mega Man 12, which they decided to get rid of the normal title. I think it is stupid considering there's the Legacy Collection, but well, like it's. So yeah, at the end of the day, Mega Man is back, and better than ever. So, it is over? No. Remember, I mentioned the timeline, series, or sagas. All these games belong to the lore, and only the classic Mega Man was revived. And as far as I know, Mega Man Zero is the only saga with a proper ending with Mega Man 04. Which is funny considering he was originally the protagonist of the X saga and had its proper ending in X5, yet the X saga technically never ended. And now, it's the turn of Mega Man X. This saga is not exempt from any mistakes. No, even if the X saga wasn't as careless as the classic saga, continuing making barely any progress and innovations in the mechanics of their gameplay in their lifetime, it made the players not get any interest at all in buying the newer games. Let alone the fact that, for some reason, Capcom thought it was a good idea to put expensive technology in the X2 and X3 cartridge, worsening their sales and their fabrication. You can ask Mega Man X3 and its expensive limited cartridges in the online stores. At least Capcom had the decency of porting this game on the PlayStation. The PlayStation trilogy is quite polemic because of the terrible decisions made back then. I don't know why the developers thought that making Mega Man X5 as the last game was a good idea, because it is probably one of the most annoying and terrible designed Mega Man X ever. Maybe even more than 6 because at least this game was rushed. But X5? Nah. It felt more like a step back compared to X4. X6 feels more like the actual downgraded sequel of X4 than X5 itself. You can be serious that the part system was well made compared to the X6 ones. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. That and the fact that X5 has the same level of animation as One Punch Man Season 3. It's basically a PowerPoint presentation. What the hell, man? At least Mega Man X6 has voices. In Japanese, so hey, it's better than nothing. An actual drawing instead of a low-budget edited video from 2012. And don't get me started with how worse things were gonna be in X7. Mega Man X7 was so bad that X8 was the last hope of the franchise to keep continuing the series. It didn't. It died. Luckily, there's still Mega Man Zero if you are so repeating with the timeline and lore, but you can deny that it was left with the worst cliffhanger ever in all the Mega Man series.
You're merely tools of the humans, tools of the old world. You think you can stand up to those of us who have evolved this far?
As long as you don't bring it up Mega Man Legends 3, that shit is dead. No, I didn't play Mega Man Legends. I literally had no idea of his existence or, well, what game he belonged to. explaining how Mega Man Legends died, it's like trying to explain the tragedy of Dark Plagueis Wise, or explaining how the babies are made in a country with low population, or the story of a no wait, that's other, not tragic, or a story with a cliffhanger. Speaking of cliffhangers, there's Halo. Now we are entering hostile territory, my friends, because you have no idea how stupid its downfall is. How Halo became the cultural phenomenon that it is now is interesting. When you go from developing Apple products and try to make an RTS, then reimagine it as a tier and now a first-person shooter, then being bought by Microsoft. That's probably the only good thing Microsoft has ever made in its entire system, avoiding Apple being the reference for PC gaming. That's personally the equivalent of avoiding a nuclear war. And all of that happened because Microsoft got intimidated by Sony's PlayStation being in everyone's houses more than Microsoft products. Halo Compatible was launched and is as successful in basically everything that it has to offer. Nice control layout, charismatic characters, an epic and memorable soundtrack and sound effects. And for some reason, some random people decide to make a good series called Red vs. Blue.
Hey, yeah? You ever wonder why we're here? It's one of life's great mysteries, isn't it?
Oh, the multiplayer. Let's not forget that. Long parties in consoles were a thing you couldn't even imagine ever. Let alone the Xbox Live service that was about to explode with the release of Halo 2. When Halo 2 was released, it was thought to be the best game launch ever. However, it was not perfect. After all the eons seeing the developers sparring with all the smoking mirrors pre-recorded bullshit, they weren't able to deliver everything they wanted in this game due to engine-related issues or something. I do not remember exactly, but nevertheless, Bungie suffered a lot of crunch and felt the weight of their own greatness, especially with the cliffhanger.
Master Chief, you mind telling me what you're doing on that ship?
Sir, finishing this fight.
Still ended up being one of the best games of the franchise. Although the $100 for every time that one of the best games for a console, let alone the most sell one, is also one of the most playable games of the respective franchise once released in development, and all because the rich comedy puts like half $2, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. It's kinda strange the fact that nobody else has noticed this coincidence. Well, almost. I just connected the dots like a year or two ago when someone told me about how Halo 2 competitive side of things was back then, and considered that I am a former Nintendo player and never owned an Xbox console ever. But I guess it was for the best. After all the novelties Halo 2 gave, especially in the multiplayer side of things, they would occur in the next game, Halo 3. I'm not gonna lie, this is one of my least favorite Bungie campaigns. It's just so weak and short, and because of the fans whining about the arbitrary companion screen time in the previous game. Don't get me wrong, it's a good thing at all, but that's true. It adds for Spartan customization and file sharing, among other things. Basically, this game is a refined of Halo 2, and you have no idea the amount of arguing the fans had with each other every time someone asks about what's the best game of the franchise, and let alone the ad campaign and the cultural trace it left back then. However, Microsoft just saw Halo as a money printer, as they wanted to expand the Halo franchise more than just a shooter game. Hell, even to the point of releasing books to expand the lore of the game to a broader audience and or making them more invested in the Halo universe. But this is where the shady stuff started to get for. To Bungie, the fact that outsiders started to desecrate their creation with their filthy hand steps was quite outrageous and unfair. But Microsoft was there ready, so they had no other choice but to listen. Which naturally makes you wonder if it's necessary to read the books in order to understand its lore, and the answer is no. Bungie was so adamant about keeping their own vision that they just refused any outsider to elaborate their franchise, which may explain why just playing early games was just enough to understand the lore. The books were nothing but mere expansions of its own universe, and this is perfectly reflected in the second book, Halo Flood, an expansion of the lore of the Penso Halo CE, which connected dots from all the books, and in a way, the transition between Halo CE and Halo 2.
The plating was about to fail. There's viscosity throughout the gel layer. Optics, totally fried. And let's not even talk about the power supply. You know how expensive this gear is, son?
Tell that to the Covenant.
And with the intrusion of the Prophet wasn't enough, there comes Microsoft with a new invader personal space studio, Ensemble Studios. Ensemble Studios originally wanted to make an RTS game made for consoles. That was Project Phoenix. But Microsoft wanted to expand its IP, told them that the Project Phoenix will be approved as long as it uses the Halo IP, or it will face the fate of cancellation. Without another choice, they accepted and developed Halo Wars.
This is Spartan Group Omega. If they want war, we'll give them war.
Unfortunately, it got a mixed reception. So they started to study what went good and what went wrong with this experiment or a console RTS. But that was not good enough for Microsoft. To its eyes, the inability to safeguard Halo was a colossal failure, and with an iron fist, they closed Ensemble Studios. After the crunch of Halo 2 and the fact that Bungie wanted to make something else more than just Halo, it wanted to get its freedom back. So they went to a talk and got an agreement that in order to get free, they should do 2 more games and leak Halo at the hands of Microsoft. Those games were Halo 3 ODST and Halo Reach. And well, this is how Halo 3 ODST was made. It was originally a Halo 3 DLC, but Bungie was supplied by the majesty of the Cleanser their freedom and just released this as a standalone game. This is by far one of my favorite games of the franchise. It may be short and barely adds anything new to offer, probably just Firefight, but I really like the campaign. The fact that we had a new point of view of the human community war, and of course, it leads the way to make stories of the franchise without having Master Chief all the time, especially since the developers created him as an avatar for the players to see themselves as the hero. Although I had no idea if the same was for the rookie and noble seeds. Which, speaking of...
Spartans never died, George. They're just missing in action.
Well, Bungie certainly knows how to do it and pretty well. Unlike Halo 3 ODST, this game was an evolution from Halo 3. A renewed art style, upgraded models, and a new story, this time as Spartans. Welcome to hell, because this is by far the most polemic Project Halo game ever made. You know, in Latin America, we had a very famous phrase that I had no idea in the slightest if there's an actual equivalent here in the English-speaking side of the fandom, which is Halo Dying Rich. That phrase cannot be ignored, not even in the slightest, because of how unironically true it is. This game had a great campaign, the best Spartan customization up to date, even better than Infinite, and upgrading for good music, sound effects, and better graphic design. But at the same time, this game gave us the Spartan abilities, multiplayer loadouts, fewer multiplayer maps, making Forge, by the way, only, I think, a single map of Forge, and the cherry on the top, Bloom. You either hate it or love it. There's no point in between. There was never a fight this big among the fandom itself, and this game is probably the start of the downfall of the franchise, and let alone the fact that Bungie no longer has to endure with their franchise. They just packed the stuff and made their own thing. Can someone explain to me what they were thinking about making this? So yeah, You either went with Bungie or stay with Microsoft and its recently declared studio that will define the future of Halo. 343 Industries. Ah. Okay, so the downfall of Halo started with Bungie and not with 343 Industries as some fans think. However, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Because 343 just doesn't know what Halo is. In order to understand Halo, they cannot develop a Halo C remaster, Halo C Anniversary. The idea of switching between classic graphics and the updated ones wasn't a bad idea, but... Seriously? What kind of blasphemy is this? They just use Halo Reach or Halo 3 textures and just say good enough or something like that? Oh, and if you thought that was lazy, then hear this. They used the code of the PC version of Halo C instead of the original Xbox version, which is known to be sort of glitchy. So yeah, basically they just ported the port of the original game, put glue and tape of previous game models, and ruined most of the art in the anniversary graphics, killing ironically the pirate and suspense factor of the original. Then they just released Halo 4 after the Uzis and oh by the rings, what the f is that? I'm just barely a fan 5 years ago and yet it disgusts me, this sickens me. Okay, so this is Halo 4 and changed everything by the worst. An unnecessary change of art style, a change from the soundtrack and the sound design. The narrative is no longer linear and simple, since now Master Chief talks and shares his feelings with Cortana, which, speaking of, did you know 340 Industries considered to recast the voice actors for Master Chief and Cortana during the development of Halo 4? Yeah, this game was not supposed to be a continuation of the franchise. It was a planned exchange of hats. It feels more like the developers wanted to rewrite Halo at their own preference and not for the fans. And the multiplayer side of things is not any better since the popularity of Call of Duty was the main reason for the entire change. They wanted to be competitive against something different, something that has no regard for exhausting the patience of their fans by giving them the same game year after year. Hey, did we return to Mega Man Street Fighter 2? Call me a pessimist, but sometimes it's the gamers themselves who ruin the fun. That stupid horse with golden armor is the prime example. Because of that, and the growing popularity of competitive games, 340 and Microsoft just made the multiplayer solely to satisfy the competitive side of things, disregarding the already established fandom and ruining their identity in the process. No wonder why they lost all its player base in barely a week. But wait, it gets worse. In a pathetic attempt to regain the attention of the fans, they developed Halo the Master Chief Collection, with Halo 2 Anniversary as the main course. That's probably a way to work on understanding the French. Oh, while falling here, no, they didn't learn a crap. They released this game as modern gaming was getting used to, patches and updates whatever they wanted. And that's what they did. This didn't get fixed until 2020 with the release of Halo 3 ODST and Halo Reach as an apology. Oh, because this is called the Master Chief Collection, not the Halo Collection. And as if this wasn't enough, they also used the PC version of Halo 2 in order to make the remaster. Well, at least none of the other games were ported on PC. Last thing I wanted was getting the worst version ever to play an entire franchise, thank you very much. Then we have Halo 5 Guardians. I just gonna summarize this as one of the most blatantly misleading advertising campaigns ever in the gaming industry. Even close to that, whatever this guy is, style of advertising. Not only did they change the story after both Halo 4 and the advertising itself, but also they demanded to consume other Halo media just to understand what's going on in its mediocre campaign. Nevertheless, the truth will never be haunted, as many criminals IRL. and Halo as a whole is nothing but a shadow of itself. I just can't believe the amount of hatred that our owners have towards to the IP. Also, I forgot to mention the fact that 340 Industries hired people who hate Halo. Yeah, you don't say. You don't say. Setback after setback, it seems that 340 Industries was nothing but a failure to make Halo a money printer than Microsoft wanted. And well, let's not pretend that this isn't Microsoft's fault either. It's not like it's the first time they ruined their own products, like Windows 11. The weight of their heresy will stay on their feet forever. After the completely fair, terrible reception of Halo 5, they decided to trash, again, all the plans for the next game, Halo 6. Because yes, Halo 5 suffered the same after the reception of Halo 4, yet they managed to deliver an even worse game. So they had to work on another game to keep themselves time to rework entirely on Halo 6.
Great news. He said we can do 5999.
And this is how Halo Wars 2 was created. Because Ensemble Studios no longer exist, they had to contact another RTS specialized studio, Creative Assembly. They mostly did all the job. They refined the controllers and pretty much set the course of the new story for the next mainline game, Halo Infinite. This game is where they vanish a new enemy function with more organic development than anything that 340 has ever created debuted in the games. And it was awesome. As far as I know, because as I stated earlier, I never owned an Xbox console ever, which means I never played Halo 5 and Halo Wars 2. Nevertheless, Halo Wars 2 managed to finally get rid of the early 340 Industries art style and get back to the original one. Despite all of that, it was enough. Scrapping all the crap and creating everything from scratch costed everything in the most literal way possible. Time, resources, trust within Microsoft itself, even after receiving some trust of the players by spamming pizza in 343's headquarters after fixing the Master Chief Collection and porting it in PC, that wasn't any guarantee that the studio would get all that was promised. An actual Halo game. Creating an upgraded version of the engine but hiring people by contract made the whole development a slow mess, let alone the 2020 situation and the release of the new console back then, the Xbox Series. Then they revealed the gameplay, and players just pointing out how weak it was, and let alone that it didn't share the Spanish art style at all. It's more like a Red Pirate Covenant. So they had no choice but to delay the launch for a year. After that year, they released the multiplayer and the campaign, and it was meh. Same as Halo 5, its own story was fully scrapped, and let alone you need to read more stupid books, not only in order to know why we are here, but also to know if 343 even bothered to finish their own crap, but also they made probably the safest move ever. Nostalgia baits. I'll call this game Halo 2 Infinite because, surprise, more than half of the campaign was scrapped, got a glitch multiplayer and suffered a lot of development issues because of the aforementioned problems that for some reason the big companies never understand. Also the terrible monetization, the artificial limitation of the Spartan customization, knowledge, again, and the lack of content and updates ended up killing the game, making the whole fandom get angry at them and literally destroying any credibility of the studio, leading to the creation of a new studio, Halo Studios. And no, I'm not gonna mention the Halo TV series. The sacrilegious working should be forgotten forever. Also supervised by 340 Industries, by the way. Okay, so enough of Halo. Now let's move on to another franchise, not even older, but also badly used longer. After John George Lucas ended the script of his new movie inspired a little bit in the Hidden Fortress, among other things, and certain modifications, Star Wars was released in 1977. Yep, that's all it is piece of art, aged like fine wine. With his weirdly both side storytelling, a special practical effects, and a hopeful story of the path of the hero, it has become one of the biggest cultural icons in history and entertainment as a whole. So much in fact that ended up having a lot of merchandise like comics, books, magazines, toys, action figures, specials, animations, video games, cameos, among other things because it's a hell a lot. So yeah, as you can imagine, they didn't waste any time capitalizing this. So much in fact that it was becoming ridiculous. Just imagine the amount of unnecessary amount of lore it was created in order to, well, gain money. And pretty much because the fans never stopped consuming any Star Wars related stuff. However, not everything was perfect. The release of the third movie was probably the major division point of the fandom. Stuff like the humor and it was kinda represented as step back for some fans. Probably because just wanted an excuse to sell things for kids. And well, that's pretty much it about the original trilogy. So let's go on the prequels. Not gonna lie, the prequels kinda suck. The weird writing and the bad dialogue was something that, to this day, I still struggle to look at in a serious way because those scenes were more like art, meme even to this day. Although I understand what he wanted to deliver. The fandom's reaction to the first movie was extremely toxic. This was probably the first time that people yelled at that fictional product and say, "What is there politics in my fictional world? My brother in a force in the future or past for a certain point of view, they destroy an empire. Of course there's politics, but again, the writing here is lacking, so yeah, pretty much understandable. Let alone the comedic relief Jar Jar Binks that got a lot of hate both IRL and in universe. And no, I know that they messed up to even declare what happened in both Legends and Canon. And Attack of the Clones got released and same as always, weird writing, bad dialogue, lack of action, and an excessive amount of CGI. Again, let alone the fact that the trailer was considered a little bit misleading because there was nothing at large scale Attack of the Clones, or what the fans wanted, a Clone Wars, which was received later in two different animations. At this point, George Lucas was too disappointed, regretful, and depressed that he pretty much wanted to finish this once and for all. Revenge of the Sith got released, and even if it's considered the best of the trilogy, it still got some hate. Anyways, the Clone Wars movie and TV series got released, and George Lucas sold the rights of his creation to Disney. To be fair, he was already getting old and pretty much wanted to have time with his family, so yeah, fair enough. I kinda remember this news as something necessary for the franchise to continue, and pretty much get better movies by, I don't know, having a good budget? But oh boy, the regret will hit so hard on every single fan even to this day. One of the effects of this event was that everything that wasn't a theatrical movie is no longer canon. All this material will be henceforth known as legends. Then you know, the usual, some stuff became canon again, some other not, blah blah blah. The sequels got announced and everyone was excited to see the new story in this universe. Some people had some hope that they would adapt something about the already established Legends universe, but no, it was a new story with new characters, which is just a remake of the very first movie. Keep in mind that even if I wasn't as invested as the average Star Wars fan, I really enjoy and knew the importance of this franchise. At this point, I already watched the original trilogy and tried to watch the Clone Wars series because I really hated how TV works. Staying forth is a chaotic way to consume media is no more, isn't it? So imagine my ongoing reaction after realizing that I was just watching a weird official remake of Episode 4, A New Hope. Immediately after leaving the cinema room, I was just too disappointed that I basically swore to not see any big hype movie ever again without doing any research. And I just can't believe that I, just being a teenager was smarter than anyone in the whole cinema to not fall for the same trick again. Because I knew that there was a bad feeling about this new trilogy. And Forza was done right. It got worse. That's why I have to tell this excuses summarized in order to have enough context of how things went wrong. Do you remember how much the Ewoks, the childish human, and basically the prequels were hated? Well, this is where the writers shine at its finest of how wrong they were to understand what Star Wars really is. It wasn't the magic wizard with lazy swords or the practical effects and well-made CGI. No, it was the writing. J.J. Abrams, the director and writer of the 7th and 9th movie, wanted to get rid of anything related to George Lucas and make Star Wars at his image and likeness. Sounds familiar? Then Ryan Johnson tried to fix the mess of the 7th movie with the 8th one. And J.J. Abrams returned to undo not only what the previous movie did, but his own too, and ruining the whole franchise in the process. Disney tried everything in order to fix this by releasing comics and different media to justify the whole sequels. Are you telling me that I had to consume external content to just understand what this excuse or a story? Reminds me of something Halo 5. If you notice, both franchises tried to use the nostalgia bait at different points in their lifetime. As trio protagonists and the Spartans, the Stormtroopers and the Covenant, the Clone Wars and the Reach, literally everything comes back to Reach and the Clone Wars, you know, straight up blatant nostalgia baiting. And well, in the middle of the process, Disney created some TV shows like The Mandalorian and Andor. Please watch Andor.
I beg you.
Including Kenobi and Acolyte. Avoid this at all cost. And revived Clone Wars. Right now, I don't think Star Wars is truly revived, renewed, or reborn. If you watch The Mandalorian, for example, it looks like they're still trying more subtly to force to accept the sequels. By the reinforced spark, I didn't imagine this was going to get longer than I thought. I just want to give a last franchise that, unlike the previous ones, managed to survive the flow of time, got iconic enough, and managed to continue their own storylines. Probably one of the best ways to prolong a franchise at the same time to not get things complicated. Yet, it's not free of mistakes. And let alone, it's barely popular as it used to be, even though I believe it was never as popular as I believe. And speaking of
Transformers.
saying as Star Wars, this franchise is older than me, and certainly it has its moments of saturation. But unlike the former, the latter was at least aware that they should continue with new toys. And I say toys, because that's what Transformers was and is to this day. The history of Transformers was basically how do we sell toys, which led to different approaches depending on the region and the media where the toys were promoted. After some licenses that I'm not gonna cover in detail, Hasbro had their new tagline, Transformers. But unlike Japan, the US market needed more than just cool buys to get the kids' attention. And this is how the creation of the lore was made, a mess of industrial scale, where such things as continuity and stability were just mere recommendations to fit to the box toy profiles, and keep reusing the same molds to make them as if they were in Cybertron's golden age, which ironically would lead to the principles of the creation of different storylines and alternative universe of the franchise. And well, everyone knows that nothing lasts forever, and Hasbro knew this perfectly. So just in a few years they wanted to sell new toys to get more money from the children's parents, which led to the creation of new characters. So anyways, how do we make the kids buy the new toys? By removing the original cast. Oh my god, fuck, Optimus Prime is dead! This is hardcore. They decided to remove all the main cast from the first 2 seasons just to later on in the next season, just like nothing, they introduced this new crew. Great, now you have to watch a movie to understand what the hell happened. Famous last words for that 80s kiddo. Now he will become a man. As you can guess, literally killing off on the big screen your favorite characters in a terrible, painfully and fast death was not the best idea. So now we have to deal with this new generation of robots that pretend that Optimus Prime and Galvatron are rivals. Because now most of the time he fights Ultra Magnus, the actual and official successor of Optimus Prime, and yeah, I have no idea what happened here, not gonna lie. Angry parents, crying children, being a boss of its failure, Hasbro just realized that they weren't selling toys, they were selling a pop culture product. Well, this led to the chaotic generation what Lord we know to this day, literally having 2 separate storylines that I had no idea if they're finally canon in some media that I don't know about their existence. And now there's the problem of the loss of interest, I guess, of the franchise. So, prolonging your franchise too long in different continuities in different parts of the world is not the best idea if you want to sell toys that cause a big cultural impact internationally if you can sell them cheap at a profitable price because of the aforementioned different continuities. Because of this terrible mess, it was decided to create a new continuity and another one and another one, and so on to the point of trying, pathetically, a new and consistent continuity called the online continuity. Now the idea was good only in theory, but the different media approaches like video games, cartoons, comics, and let alone the internal conflicts between creatives, whatever they felt limited way, following step by step the sparky Bible of Transformers, led to its own fall. So yet again, we had to deal with new continuities, which might be for the best in the long term. After all, this can lead to a different approach to the already long list of characters, whatever is an existing one like Wheeljack, a scientist, a very resentful traitor, a Cybertron Albert Einstein, a worker, and so on.
Here I go again, shattering expectations.
However, this can be a double-edged sword. Sure, this can lead to renewing the franchise and making new toys and stories, but it's something I learned with Mega Man is that you shouldn't get too desperate in selling new products to maintain its relevance. Although I'm praised if you do the exact opposite, then you can endanger yourself with being forgotten and even to the point of lose some licensing because yes, toys has licensing. Its appearance, its names, its lore, it's basically copyright stuff, or else you will have the risk of renaming totally unimportant character or straight up ignoring its existence. And well, this is why we had like 10 different Transformers series, but the real culprit of the current stagnant stage of the franchise is the Bayverse movies. Okay, not only did they decide to make realistic movies, but also make cartoons, comics, and video games of different continuities at the same time. Being a success in box office may be the best publicity campaign anyone can wish for, since it can lead to many people buying your product. The thing is, the Bayverse is kinda toxic. Yeah, its 3 first movies were fine, I guess. Then we had the other movies and you can guess it, people were bored of this Transformers thing. It's just robots fighting each other while having annoying humans with hell amount of explosions and beautiful women. Yeah, I get it, but as a child, the only thing I cared was only the robots, not the weird behaviors of the human character. Let alone the aforementioned continuity problem in the line continuity, and you have the perfect mess of making basically all your casual public get tired of this franchise. Now it seems that Transformers is kinda dead, mainly because of the terrible management of this. Of course, the future of the franchise remains uncertain, especially due to the results of the last 2 movies, which weren't good financially speaking, of course. And here are some complaints in the toys, but honestly, I just had no idea. I don't remember the last time I had a Transformer toy, not gonna lie. For now, Transformers is indeed in its darkest hour. Ultimately, this is just my experience. Not gonna lie, sometimes I feel that like stuff that is probably dying. It doesn't help the fact that I don't remember to be invested in recent created stuff. Probably it is the best idea to let your IP rest until you have a defined vision. But at the same time, get these future plans a proper treatment instead of just seeing them as some sort of money printer. Probably it's the best idea to let your IP rest until you have a defined vision. But at the same time, get these future plans proper treatment instead of just seeing them as some sort of money printer. Because if you neglect what makes it special, what makes it unique, what makes it create its community, and more importantly, what makes it respect their creators, you'll end up having an empty shell, carrying away your community until nothing is left, or another way of finally being free of the copyright shackles. So this is how it ends. I, Inferno, will retreat. And maybe, just maybe, I'll see you next time. We'll see. We'll see.